Hello, grade 8. So this is the answers to worksheet 2 for chemistry. First of all, I hope all of you are safe. Please do these questions. Okay, these will really help. Okay, it's just a nice summary of what we've been doing in semester 1. If you need any questions, obviously I'll answer them in class. Okay, and I hope all is well. Question 1. Sodium fluoride. So the fluoride ion helps to protect the teeth against dental decay. When sodium fluoride is added to drinking water, tooth decay decreases by 65%. The bar graphs below show the components in the nucleus of each of the atoms: fluorine, sodium, and phosphorus. So, the first question says copy and complete the table given below with justification. On the bi-weekly worksheet, I left a space for justification only because the table was a bit too small. Okay, this one, because I had more room to maneuver, I put the justification inside the boxes. Now, first of all, we need to find the atomic number and the mass number and the number of electrons for fluorine, sodium, and phosphorus. How do you find the atomic number? Remember, Z equals atomic number, which equals the number of protons. We've done this so many times, this should go into your head by now. You should know it by heart. Z equals atomic number, which equals number of protons. Here, look, we've got the number of protons. What's the number of protons of fluorine? It's 9. Okay, what's the number of protons of sodium? It is 11. What's the number of protons in phosphorus? It is 15. Okay, so this is just reading off a table. Okay, this is how we find the atomic number. Remember, the atomic number is the number of protons. Mass number. How do we get the mass number? Remember the equation A equals Z plus N. A is the mass number, Z is the number of protons, and N is the number of neutrons. Remember, what has mass is the protons and the neutrons. So Z is the protons and the N has the neutrons. Combine them, this is the mass number. So what is Z? What's the number of protons? We just worked it out here, it is 9. What's the number of neutrons? Here it is, the number of neutrons. What's the number of neutrons in the fluorine atom? It is 10. So 9 plus 10 equals 19. Same for the sodium. What's the number of protons? It's 11. We can even get it from the graph, which is here. What's the number of neutrons? It is 12. So we do 11 plus 12, which is 23. Then we have phosphorus. For phosphorus, the number of protons is 15. We got it from here. What's the number of neutrons? Is 16. 15 plus 16 is 31. Okay, so this is how we find out the mass number. Number of electrons. You can see none of our graphs gives us the number of electrons, but we know in a neutral atom, the number of protons equals the number of electrons. Okay, this is really important. In a neutral atom, the number of protons equals the number of electrons, which equals atomic number Z. What's the number of protons in the fluorine atom? It's 9. So in a neutral atom, the number of electrons is also 9. What's the number of protons in in sodium? It is 11. So the number of protons in the number of electrons in a sodium atom is also 11. Phosphorus. What is the number of protons? It's 15. So the number of electrons also in a sodium atom is 15. Okay, please, this is really important. In a neutral atom, the number of protons equals the number of electrons. Question 2, Amanda. So almond tree contains a chemical substance that is called amanda. The oil of amanda is used in the field of cosmetics as it treats skin dehydrations and ulcers. The table below represents some chemical elements which are found in the amanda. So we've got copper, iron, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, and sodium. So I copied the table because we need to answer the questions according to this table here. So I give the symbols of the chemical elements found in the amanda. I don't mind if you use the periodic table. I don't expect you to know these yet. So copper is Cu, iron is Fe, magnesium is Mg, phosphorus is P, potassium is K, and sodium is Na. Alright, so I don't mind if you use the periodic table to help you with these questions. With this question, phosphorus atom, one of the constituents of amanda, contains 15 protons and 16 neutrons. Determine the atomic number of phosphorus, then calculate mass number. First of all, we want the atomic number. Remember, whenever we do the atomic number, Z equals the atomic number, which equals the number of protons, which equals 15. The mass number A is Z plus N. Z is 15, and the number of neutrons is 16, so we do 15 plus 16, which equals 31. So this means we've done the atomic number and the mass number. Indicate the location of protons and neutrons in the atom of phosphorus. Remember, protons and neutrons are located in the nucleus. Determine the number of negatively charged particles of the phosphorus. Negatively charged particles. What are the negatively charged particles? These are the electrons. So basically, remember, in a neutral atom, the number of protons equals the number of electrons. So the number of electrons in the phosphorus atom is 15. Calculate the charge of the nucleus, please. The nucleus, it contains the protons and the neutrons. Okay, so the charge of the nucleus is the charge of the protons and charge of the neutrons. What is Q? Q is charge. So here, look, we write charge of the nucleus is the charge of the protons plus charge of the neutrons. So what is the charge of the proton? What is the charge of the protons? The charge of one proton, which is given, which is 1 plus the number of protons. We figured out that the number of protons is 15. Now, also it's the charge of the neutrons plus the number of neutrons. However, you know that the charge of the neutrons is 0. Therefore, therefore we cross it out and write 0. Okay, so the charge of the protons is solely because of the charge of the charge of the nucleus is due to the charge of the protons. So do 1 plus times 15, which equals 15, plus calculate the charge of the electron cloud. The charge of the cloud is the charge of the electrons, so it's the charge of one electron, which is 1 minus, times the number of electrons. Remember, in a neutral atom, the number of protons equals the number of electrons, which equals the atomic number Z, so it's also 15. Okay, so it equals 15 minus. Question 3, the human body. 8.5% of the human body mass is constituted of 6 elements: oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, calcium, and phosphorus. Most of the human body is composed of water. Therefore, the most present element in the human body is oxygen. Document 1 shows the schematic representation of the hydrogen-oxygen atoms. By referring to document 1, answer the following questions. Determine the atomic number of the oxygen atom. First of all, let's look at document 1. Here's our oxygen atom. We want the atomic number, which is the number of protons. Now here, remember, here they've given us the number of electrons because we've got because the electron cloud is shown to us. Now, first of all, let's see how many electrons we have. Remember, each dot is an electron here, so this is the first dot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So by counting, the number of electrons is 8. But we want the atomic number, which is the number of protons. Remember, in a neutral atom, the number of protons equals the number of electrons. Okay, so the amount of electrons we have is the amount of protons we have in a neutral atom. So the atomic number, or the number of protons, is 8. Please, it's really important. Knowing that the oxygen atom O has a mass number of 16, determine the atomic symbol of the atom. First of all, an atom is represented as, there we go, this is how a normal atom is represented, where X is the chemical symbol, which is the O. We have A, which is the mass number. They gave us the mass number, which is 16. A is the mass number, which is 16. And they've given us the Z. The Z is the number of protons, or the atomic number. So Z is proved to be 8. Look here, we've got this proved to be 8 in part 1.1. So we've got everything to construct our chemical symbol. Therefore, the atomic symbol of oxygen is 16, 8, O. This is the atomic symbol. This is the mass number, which is A, and this is the number of protons. Indicate the number of electrons in the hydrogen atom. This is our hydrogen atom. Our hydrogen atom has 1 electron. Okay. We then have to calculate the relative charge of the electron cloud of the hydrogen atom, knowing the relative charge of an electron is -1. The charge of the cloud is the charge of the electrons. So it's the charge of 1 electron, which is 1 minus, this is given to us, times the number of electrons. We said that the number of electrons in the hydrogen atom is 1. So it's 1 minus times 1, which equals 1 minus. Question 4 is fluorine. Observe the following fluorine atom in the next figure, then answer the following questions. What is the name of the atomic parts where neutrons and protons are located? Deduce the place of the electrons. So we've done this question so many times. The protons and neutrons are always found in the nucleus, and therefore the electrons are found in the electron cloud. Indicate the number of protons in the fluorine atom. So from the figure we know that the number of protons is 9. Deduce the number of electrons in the fluorine. Remember, in a neutral atom, the number of protons equals the number of electrons, which equals the atomic number Z. So the number of electrons in the fluorine atom is 9. Okay, you see how much I've repeated these questions? These are really important. Okay, please, this is very important. Knowing that the fluorine atom has a mass number of 19, calculate the number of neutrons. So, A equals Z plus N. We know this. This is a simple, we've done it so many times, this equation that we've been using most of the time, A equals Z plus N. But we don't want A, we know A. A is 19, we want N. So to rearrange the equation is N equals A minus Z. A is 19. Z, we calculated before, we saw it before, it's 9. A is written in the figure. We do 19 minus 9, which equals 10. Calculate the nuclear charge, just as we did before. The charge of the nucleus is the charge of the protons plus charge of the neutrons. The charge of the is the charge of 1 proton times the number of protons. The charge of 1 proton is always 1 plus times the number of protons. We said that the number of protons is 9. So here it's 9, plus the charge of the neutrons times number of neutrons. Remember, this is 0. Okay, so the charge of the nucleus is dependent on the charge of the protons, because neutrons don't have a charge. Their charge is 0. So the answer is 9 plus. Calculate the charge of the electron cloud. So we have the charge of the electron cloud is the amount of electrons, the charge of the electrons, the charge of 1 electron times the number of electrons. What's the charge of the electron is always -1 minus times the number of electrons is 9. So the charge of the cloud is 9 minus. Please, it's really important. Please practice questions over and over again. Please stay safe, and if you want or need anything, hopefully I'll see you on Monday and we can revise these questions together.